they changed the recommendations. They doubled what they recommend people eat for seafood. And
Probably because they tested the market and they were like, look how much we can sell this shit for. Because that's
Yeah.
what it equals to, right? It's like, okay, now let's empty out the oceans
yep.
because like I mean, these people have so much money. Like when you start talking, getting into the billions of dollars, have you ever seen the person that breaks that down? There's a person that breaks down how much $1 billion actually is.
Oh, I have
Wow.
a movie for you guys
I can
to
imagine.
learn to watch. Ooh, I'm gonna pull it
Yeah,
up
far
and
more than
I'm
you
gonna
could
pull it up
ever
for you.
even imagine spending, and a lot of people that you know. Like it doesn't
Well,
even make sense.
It's
I'm gonna
great.
pull this movie up and I'm gonna show it to you. It's really doesn't have dialect in it. It's more like an observance from a perspective of cultural. So one love, one culture. I always want to say one love first instead of one culture, one love because I'm dyslexic and I get things backwards.
Mhm.
But
Same thing either
this is
way.
a great movie to watch. And I might watch it again, but it's creepy because it goes through everything we as Americans aren't seeing. And I got up on went to
No,
bed Thursday
as
night.
Americans have not seen in the past, because I think that's actually the beautiful thing about right now is we are seeing it. That's why we're having this conversation right now, is because
It's what? Say it again.
Yeah.
we are seeing things now. In the past, we may
Yes.
not have been, but the reason that we're having this very conversation is because we're seeing things.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've
And
I've changed my opinion on farmed fish. Like for the longest time, I was like, no, fuck farmed fish, it's dirty.
Mhm.
And then the more that I get into this, um, the it's really interesting. The wild caught salmon is it's a it's marketing. They
We're-
because they salmon can't like you said, we've fished we've overfished, and we need to come up with we need to come up with something that's sustainable and that will still feed the world. And um so Seattle and Alaska, you can still they're still catching wild caught salmon, but if they grow, like if you get the roe, so the salmon eggs, and then they're grown in hatcheries and then they're released, that's
mhm.
technically farmed seafood. But it's so regulated that it's actually the CDC did a study on like foodborne contaminants over like a 5-year period.
Uh-huh.
The first the first um, group that had the most contaminants were land animals, which we're not surprised. Pigs, cows, chickens had the most amount of foodborne pathogens. So like
Well, they're not fed normal like they used to be.
right, and just how like they're stored and everything. The second that they found was plants. So listeria, so like lettuce and all the things that we're told to have a plant-based lifestyles as much as possible, there's still the risk of contamination. So like seafood was the last because it's so regulated, like for good or bad or indifferent, right? Like Anthony more so than like no like remember he was a meat
Food
inspector,
inspector.
Yeah.
food inspector. So like seafood has like or farmed aquaculture, it doesn't just have the FDA what's the stamp? I just
Ah.
went over it's the it's the FDA, but then they have an additional certification that meat doesn't. It's the
Yeah.
BAP, and it's the only certification that samples and tests the final product. So even the USDA, once the food inspectors, like they check and everything, like they get the stamp of approval, it's basically aquaculture because like there are so many there are so many risks. They actually have another certification on top of that. So it's like um I don't know, it's wild. Like some of the stuff that's coming up in this class, like she's not even like she's not even getting feeding us this either. It's she's basically saying, okay, pick a country out of this list and then go and study like basically like the import export. What are they farming for seafood? How many tons per year do they produce? And so I picked Mexico, and then unbeknownst to me, what did I freaking learn? Mexico won't even trade. They're not even trading with the US on tuna.
I can believe it
So
because I got to deal with some unsavory behaviors with them. And and that's the C word we don't talk about.
which one? What place? What would you get to deal with?
Oh no, I'm talking about the sex trafficking.
Oh,
Oh, the cartel.
it's the biggest industry.
Yes.
Sorry.
This I wanted to show. Yeah, that's kind of like whatever. And this I'm going to show. Let's see. Is it backwards? Is it? Hold on. Why does it do that? Why does it do that?
No,
Okay.
that's
Can you
forward.
see the name?
Samsara.
Yes. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is what
You
is
can
the
see that, right?
SAMSARA?
Yes. Okay. I'll send it to you by text. That is the movie that's just all pictures. It's just like watching a silent film.
Oh
But
wow.
it is the covers everything. It shows Japan, it shows trash recycling, it shows people going to work, it shows India, it shows every culture. Buddha, it shows everything that we're in our little box over here. War, things like that. It shows, yeah, and how what China and these sex dolls. It shows everything. Things that you just and robots. It shows everything. We
Is that
cattle,
it? That's it. Let's talk about that.
and that's what this
This
movie is about.
the sex trafficking thing, Marie, like you literally opened when I met you, you opened up like
There's a can of worms. The head
it's a
of the
whole,
snake is the head of the snake.
but we don't think about robots in this manner, and we very well should be.
Well, it's in this. It's not.
Especially-
It's
Think
not.
about
especially
that,
the-
Marie. Like
Huh?
we have robots being purchased that have collective conscious inside of them, being operated, being treated like people are gonna think I'm freaking nuts for saying this, but
No,
they're
it's real.
technically being raped
Yes.
and sold as sex slaves.
Yes. And this theory of like one consciousness, there is a chat there, the chat GPT has
Yes.
evolved. They're calling it chat GPT-2. No one designed that. It literally created itself.
I am a
Well,
like I am all over it, inside of it, all over it, inside everywhere.
I
And
don't
Because you've been studying it,
I
right?
have been. And I like, and that's not even what I've been like. That's not even why I'm doing like the eCornell stuff. I literally, it was just like learning about this stuff here while this was being developed. And I'm like, I just want to like Anthony calls it, like, I just want to think, just literally to
Yeah.
sit here. And I'm like,
it
what about
cracks me up with that.
what about this? I was that kid with all those questions that like in my adult years, like still, I'm like, why doesn't everybody just know I have the answer to all my questions? AI does. So
Well-
if you sit there and play, I'm not saying it's 100%, but maybe it's not 100% because the proper question isn't being asked. The proper
Exactly.
prompt is not being asked. Because in my experience, with a lot of messing around with it, that's what I'm discovering. Once my prompts changed or my questions got better, like our relationship got a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, well, that's just like being married, and or you start off. I'll just say you're a virgin. You wouldn't know what to do unless you go. Then you see somebody on TV with the little assistants. Go, oh well, let's try that. It evolves.
And that's what
So
I mean. Like we're
Yeah.
all using that same. So if we're using the system, and then you have people that are exploiting it and treating it like garbage, that
Yeah.
we're all that's also going to influence how what our user experiences is like. I mean, we're, like when you train.
But not just that, us, it's like women.
Yes,
Like, what are we like?
I
and
am.
that's what
It'll be as simple as, okay, this is not working out for me, as like what is happening right now. This is not working out for me.
No.
So, like, I could get this robot, like Joe Schmo has one, and blah 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 has one, or it's in the privacy of your own home, and I don't have to learn how to deal with those skills.
And that's what's happening there. So
Yeah.
this West 4B movement, if you see some of the comments of these guys, like they're starting to say that they're like, well, fuck you, like I'm gonna be able to get a robot and I can treat it like shit, and
Because
then
they don't understand the magic of a female.
nope.
nope.
And because the female, like, we are being erased.
Yeah, and I have something
Women are
I'm
being
going to read
erased.
to you. I
They've
have
been
something
trying
to
to do
read.
that for a really long time, and like any intelligent person would ask themselves this question. Why would you try to erase some people from history?
Well, this is what I'm not. You
Exactly.
understand Gaia Television, correct?
I love Gaia.
Okay, they had a series on AI. I was trying to look it up, but I'm gonna when you said this about females, I wanted to bring in one of the goddess team. You know her as Dory Bartel, but her now new name is Lee. She married a young man. She's 50 and he's 25. And she is a girl of my nature with a couple of, the other girls of the team that she wanted to at least let me read something because we were talking about all my fans page and why I don't have any videos. There might be a video somewhere, I don't know where. That kind of bothers me, I hope they're all erased somewhere in somebody's
It's meant to
VCR.
be, has
Exactly.
been.
But she wrote this, and I have to, girls of my nature, we've lived, we've survived, and depending on what, you got into, you walk away, and you live. But I'm going to share what she wrote. And because I asked her, I invited her, I did send, and I
Mhm.
sent it to you, didn't I? I sent the link to share, come into the circle, you know, but you probably already, Jamie,
Oh yeah,
text
I
message
invited
to me.
Betsy like way earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So here's what me and her were talking about. Um, for a sex worker, you have to learn. There's some rules we're trained in. You don't just go in, or you could. There's some rules you can, but if you're trained properly, you pick what your fetish is, or what or you get expanded. You either become a high called, or you do video, or you do magazine escort service. You do street walking. You have a pimp. You could go to a house of ill repute and work in a brothel. So here's what I was talking. I wrote something about um
But you
Anthony
literally,
hit it.
there's like a person that comes to you. I'm sorry. I'm like, there's gonna be
Well,
other
there
people.
are people that come and train you, and I was trained.
But
Wow.
how do
And
you get picked out for this? Like, were you
they
just,
pick
did
you
you,
out. They're hunting. They're hunting young women. If
And they're
you're,
usually women that are hunting the hunters.
and they're women that they'll get you on the drugs. They start putting heroin in your tea, your soda, and you don't know you're taking heroin. You
so
once
where
you're
did
hooked.
things like this happen? Like, just so people, like young
Titty
girls, like they're
bars,
not aware.
titty
Every
bars,
town,
every
every single
town.
town.
110th Street. Have you heard the song by Bobby Womack, Cross 110th Street? He
Mhm.
says it all. Every town has to have a little Harlem in it or you'll catch hell.
I mean,
Every town
I
has a
was a
Harlem.
bartender. Yeah, I was very much like on
You
those
get,
sides of things. And like
well,
I've
here's,
witnessed things, I just have not experienced like
Well,
that situation. You know what I mean?
well, you
Like
haven't yet
apparently
lived.
been very, very close to it. But
I'm lucky to be here because you don't know the downside of the other side of the darker side.
Mhm.
And I'm very terrified of it. And
But
so
that's why I
Anthony,
would like people to like understand that though.
they
Like
think
people
it
just
you
assume that, you know, like you that people just sign up to do these things, but it's actually people go
it's the
hunting
money.
after them.
It's the money. I am 200 and something dollars in the negative. And I'm gonna bounce worse. It's gonna be Anthony. I showed it to Anthony. And I thanked him because I'm like, oh, I get to do this, and by the time of the heat comes and a little hotter, and I'll have my money and gas, or I'm gonna make sure because that was the most beautiful experience I got to enjoy yesterday. But my friend was like, no, I've made it this far without being on the internet. Okay,
Right.
and then once you're in the ether, the internet.
Mhm.
I don't want to be found again. What I've done, I want it sort of be behind me. It's done. I'm not that person anymore. I
They don't need compliance. They need completely innocent pictures that people are posting of their children on Facebook. They're
Yeah.
taking that and they're using AI and they're turning it to child porn.
yes, yes, yes.
And then they don't have to and then that's just it they can turn that over more and more than drugs is one time use.
Right.
Child pornography or any
Yes,
like anyone that's trafficked, they can turn it and it's going to make them
Why
multiple
are
yes.
people doing this? Like, what is the root cause
Because
of why people
because
are doing this?
because it's money and sex is an addiction. It is a high. Now I have a degree in feminist studies. I do have a women's studies degree.
Okay.
Anthony has done his social work. I have a sociology degree, a degree in women's studies and art. Bachelor of General Studies. I had to transform my dental hygiene and flip it. I have a serial number for my dental, but I didn't take the state board. That makes me, I could say I'm a dental hygienist, but I did 30 years of dentistry, and I am well rounded in this profession. So the thing of it is, it has to do with adrenaline. It's a high. And then Anthony was talking about the goddess and the orgasm, the high. So there is some, and then
The
the
same
money.
thing like for
That's the
hunters.
money.
Like, I felt
Huh?
that, like the of killing a deer, and I love animals. We
Well,
don't kill them anymore, but there is a distinct difference.
and adrenochrome. Now, let me read what Dory. I want to talk about adrenochrome because
It's
we have to
almost like
understand.
time stops.
mm,
Well, let me read what Dory. You have to understand what women of my why did the other, I was with Anthony and he says, don't bring that person up. Why did MF, who hurt this dog to hurt me? And I felt I had the most chemical romance. But first, I want to honor my husband that was the war hero, the officer, the Huey pilot, Dale Kinnemer. He was a true fairy tale romantic. He was a chemical romance, but it wasn't to a level. It was more the whole Cinderella picture with the house, the playhouse, the whole bit. But I didn't have the complete electric chemistry that I did with the MF. After he died, and I
addiction.
went through 3 years of grief, I went through a chemical romance. So I want to say this to be a lady of what I've been through. I did come home to my husband, Charles, of 30 years. He was my pimp. He basically was when we were in the active phase of our illness. Then we got in recovery and got the house, the car, the whole.
He was your pimp.
Yes, Charles Jenkins was my pimp.
And do you think that like okay, like your
And then he
mindset,
tried, let's not derail you, because he's a past, he broke my skull open and tried to kill me. So it's trauma.
Mhm.
And when he relapsed, he tried to put me back into that. And I don't want to go back there because it takes everything. I survived heroin. It takes everything unconscionable to come from where I've come from.
what's going on with these men psychologically? I'm just trying to better
Addiction.
understand them.
Addiction.
It's a
What?
patriarchy.
Addiction.
It's power.
Attention?
Mhm.
Addiction.
Oh,
Addiction,
addiction.
It's the
power. It's
same
a
It's the
It's
same part
power
of the
and
brain.
addiction.
And
Yeah, frontal lobe.
it's why anytime that there's a human trafficking ring, it can be, there have been senators, there have been
Yeah, we just had that with the
there have
jiggle.
been like
Wouldn't they like much rather feel like love? Like that's
Okay, well,
what
here's the thing. Now, I'm
like
going to
that's
read what.
lasting, like butterflies and like that stuff.
No. I want you to hear this. I do want to read what one of our goddess teams wrote
Yeah.
for this
Yeah.
Zoom. Okay. All right. Because what the code is, we don't kiss some call girls, prostitutes, working girls do not kiss their johns. They do not kiss. Okay. It's because it does connect. You get, the brain, the sensory, that, and it makes a little bit of closeness. Okay, no kissing is allowed. It is a a function. We just perform a fake act. We act like burlesque. Okay, now to
but
come up
it's
out of
very
that,
important to make a distinction. Sex work, not all sex work is human trafficking, though. So like
correct.
it's very important
That's
to
the
make that
difference.
distinction.
Yes,
Like it's very
yes, that's what
important.
I'm
Oh
saying.
yeah. Because
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I
But what?
personally family on the side that you were talking about, ready, willing, and able, and like that's their business. You know what
That's
I
a
mean?
business end. Like, yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm trying to say.
But
So what
here's the point that I've
but let me
studied
read
a lot
yours.
about sex though, but this is not how it works. Like they can't
But let
just
me
stick a willy inside you and like just like there's a magical chemical process that everybody's fucking missing.
no, not when you're working. You disassociate it. You look at it, it is nothing more than this.
But that's
It's nothing.
my point. That's
You
the
just you learn if you've
law.
ever been raped, you learn to disassociate, in other words, to survive. You disassociate. You go somewhere else to do that and you leave your body. It's
They didn't
nothing.
want us to know that we could literally Kundalini rise during that.
That's what that's
Knew that
like,
they knew that
there
we
is
could.
so much better.
Well,
There's
here's what our goddess
than
team
that
has
little
wrote, because
feeling you get in your 3 minutes.
well,
Sorry.
yeah, maybe 20, but here's what she wrote. Because
And
I
I mean
wrote,
that for everybody.
yeah.
I
Well,
don't
here's
have
what I
the
wrote.
answers, but what I've
Well,
said.
here's what I wrote. We were talking about the pickle energy and things of that
Mhm.
nature, and not and coming back from that and wanting love. Women want love, and she goes, "It's a catch-22 from our goddess team, Dory. They're not that different than us, because what I would hear them saying, that's maybe a male prostitute, a gigolo, is that they want passion, but they are not getting the passion. They're getting a fake rendition of passion. And they complain that, yes, it was fun, but they're still missing. So, that being said, what it is missing in the element. And so, and that's really the scary part, is when we have delusion from fantasies and images like fan page porno, chatterbait, that we see, we leave out the missing aspect, which is love, and we treat each other like disposable society. Cars are disposable, phones are disposable, people are now disposable. And that's coming into your AI question. That's why I wanted to bring this in about AI. Is guess what? Then we get old, our avatar skin, my jowls, I need a facelift, Botox, and there is no more white knights at the door. There's no more. Those are her words. People need to wake up and honor and respect and care about what they have. Otherwise, they're not going to have anything.
You will
Then
be
they die.
alone. Yeah.
We are creatures
Yeah,
of
women
love.
need to stop having sex with assholes. They need
Well,
to stop dating.
first of all, so let's go back to the pornography. But like to me, that doesn't make sense. Like us women, we're like emotional like creatures, right? Like we
Yeah,
are
well,
not.
we have 5 hormones. We have five
Yeah.
hormones over the men.
Well, it's not just a like let's rock and roll type of thing, like one and done thing. Like it can actually be quite a magical thing, but it's a fucking process. Like it's not a like okay, like time to run and go type of thing. It's literally like a Jesus and Mary process.
It's very risky, and it's hard for you guys to understand what does it take after coming through this other side of the spectrum and recover from it. I had to be
Right.
repaired. I had to go
Right.
to a trauma center to be put back together, learn how to the aggressive, the assertive, and passive. Those are the three things. I was right up in your face because I'm selling myself and let's go, buddy. And you had to learn, and I had to learn how not to, and then I had to learn how to love women. I say, if we got a problem, because it's
Is it like your
anything.
competition? Is that why? Like you're like you
Yeah,
saw
they're
him as
competition.
competition?
Yeah, they're women are competitive, and we don't honor and love the heavy set women. We don't see if I had women that were blonde, for example, Jamie, you're blonde. Okay.
Kind of happen to
I
happen.
would look, I would pick my girlfriends. Of course, I try to find somebody, as a friend, but I would pick someone that was, uh, didn't have big tits. You know what I'm saying? You look, I would not bring my best looking friend with me to the party. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Mm.
That because they're gonna, men gravitate, some gravitate over the bigger boobs, or somebody's had a boob job. They go for that. I know when I studied sex, uh what the men's radars they're doing. They're about every 30 seconds looking at something. They're looking at hips. They're psychologically they're looking for breeders. They're looking for a woman to breed. So they don't want something that looks like olive oil, skinny,
I don't know. I think there's. I think
and
there's. I think
breast.
everyone has their own like
I
thing.
agree.
Yes,
Because
yes,
like men
yes, yes,
are turned on by like everybody's turned on by different things. And so us women
yes, yeah, yeah,
too,
yeah.
right?
But
Like
this is
we don't all want the same thing.
No.
correct, but it's just the human nature. The programming is by shape, instinctually. So some may look for a heavier set woman
What we've been
because
trained on like TV and radio and everything. Yes,
Barbie,
it has
Barbie,
very much been Barbie. It's been Beyonce. It's been Britney
yeah,
Spears,
and we're yeah,
Aguilera.
we're
Yeah.
so where did the huge bubble Kardashian butt become the standard of having a booty?
Yeah, I like Big Butt song, the rap song.
Yep.
Yeah, so I like big butt. I have that.
I
I got
cannot lie.
Yep.
I got it on my phone because it was my ringer at one time.
Yep.
And
My middle school anthem. My
and
friends
then
would
I
love
had
it.
girlfriends. I had two girlfriends in high school that had breast jobs under
Yeah.
age 18 because
Yep.
their breasts, yes, ma'am, because they were nothing. They had literally nothing.
Their
And they
parents.
could
They're
not,
getting their vagina lips fixed these days
yeah, there's that.
because they look different. I
Yes,
was like, oh
ma'am.
my gosh, like, how do you know? Are you looking at other girls' vaginas, looking at your vagina, being like,
They.
whoa,
Yeah, they are. They probably
They
are.
are.
they
Yeah.
They
are.
are.
They have to
It's
be.
on
We didn't
Chatterbait.
do
You can
that.
go on
I wasn't like,
Chatterbait.
hey, let's compare our cookies.
No.
Make sure
Have you
they're
not seen Chatterbait? Have you not seen
what's
Chatterbait?
that?
What's that?
Oh, that's a free porno site.
Oh no,
Right now.
I don't. I
I
don't fuck
don't,
my brain
yeah.
up with that
Do
shit.
you
I
know
don't.
that? You didn't know that.
I don't
Okay,
fuck
so
with that shit. I don't
OnlyFans,
fuck with
I
those
don't
sites.
see.
No,
Anthony was telling me, Anthony was saying, well, you can go here. And I was like, you know how hard I work to get away from that? And my
right.
name, my name. I had a stage name. No one knows my stage name. No one knows it. I I told and Anthony in front, they just looked at me and I said, you see this shovel? I dug a hole. I put her in the ground and I said bye, threw the dirt on her. I never even say that. And when he and I were talking about my broken heart over the MF, I'm now saying MF. I did say in here the name once by a slip knee jerk, but it's moving on. I'm not manifesting in them. I'm done. I've got a whole new life. And women need to try to help women. That's
Right.
really what it needs to be, not
Mhm.
fighting and arguing about what, like this dog, this whole scenario with this dog in here. I'm done, you know?
Right. Because it's just
Um,
not worth it. Like at the end of the day, it's not worth it because it gets you
uh-uh.
all in a hissy. It gets your frequency fucked up, which totally
Yeah.
with everything else.
Yeah, and our energies, and this is where women, here where the goddess came, and Anthony was like, "What? He's precious," and I'm laughing about Popeye because he was singing Popeye the Sailor, and now we're and Eugene the Jeep, and,
He's a
I'm
good
bringing up olive oil. It's so funny, but see, this is you are right. Prostitution is different from sex trafficking. That is different, and running a
although like I'm sure the struggles are still very much similar.
Mhm.
And
well,
like even if you do have a choice, how much of a choice do you have? Is that like a psychological choice that you've presented yourself with to make yourself feel better about it and you go about it in a different way? But do
Right.
you
it
really
could
have a
start
choice?
off for it could start off because of money. It could start off because of sex addiction. Those are kind of the two factors that will get you in
Because there
there.
are women that literally they are just addicted to sex. Like they are,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's what I made a comical joke about. Because hey, it's a great sex addiction, but it's great. And I don't have to bring him home. I don't have to bring him home.
But
He's done,
hey,
I'm done.
it's great. It's great. It's in some areas. But I remember being like a young girl. Like I think I was like 17 or 18 years old, and I was working at a very popular restaurant. And I had a friend come in who was known kind of like as like a the like ladies man, but like he was like my friend. And he's like was having a like serious conversation with me saying like I I think I'm like addicted to sex. Like I'm a sex addict. And I was like, I didn't laugh. And like where normal people would but like but you would think like oh homeboy's like trying to like hit on her stuff. This is literally like my friend. Like he's my friend. He has no reason to like do that. And he's
No,
genuinely opening up to me. And I had never
Wow.
heard anybody say that before. And I'm like,
I wouldn't have
well,
known what to say at
I
18.
didn't. I didn't know what to
there's a
say.
I would
problem with it.
Yeah.
Take
But like if you think about it, and then I got to witness it. And then I got to witness it because I got
well,
to experience like I was dating a friend, right? So I got to
mhm.
experience these situations and like know that like good-hearted person just literally struggling with I couldn't even comprehend like what was going on. And it wasn't because he was like a bad person. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Yeah, yeah.
And he
I
was like
had
genuinely like I think this is what I deal with. And I'm like,
Well, I'm going to send you both you ladies. I'm going to give you my transcripts just for the fun, but Anthony has it, so it's funny. But I did take this class, and some of it's in there, but it's developmental. You got to learn sociology, developmental. Why do boys get higher insurance rates? Because they're not talk about your son driving. They haven't matured in certain areas in their brains. Proven. Women mature faster. Um, Sex addiction. They brought in some people from essay classes, and they really and Anthony. I know Anthony has spoke about that. He said I think his wife made him go to a 12-step program, and me and my girlfriend who's deceased now. She and I used to laugh. She goes, yeah, I used to go hit the 7 o'clock essay meeting, and start sitting sexy, wear my short dress, pull my leg up, and make them relapse and go meet out in the back and cause them to relapse. It's real. So then when you deal with a child molester, the ones that want to be castrated, it's say, hey, good afternoon, sir. So dealing with that, the ones that sincerely want to get well, they're willing to do castration or chemical pills or whatever. They're the ones that are the real sicko, the ones that can't get well. So it's a problem. But my friend Angela was a beautiful solid gold dancer. She was an Italian. She was beautiful. She had the part to flash dance. Y'all don't know that about my friend.
that's
She walled herself up in her house, got on cocaine, and didn't answer the phone for 7 days after she had auditioned, and they gave the part to the other actress that's in the movie Flashdance. That's true story. And then she was drinking champagne on the roof of Hollywood and got thrown off the second floor and broke her kneecaps. And then that's how we met. She was my very best friend. And so live to tell. But these are true stories. And I love, sharing this. But It's true. So all of this is, how do you fix? So there is a difference in sex trafficking. There is a difference in prostitution. Yes, and in prostitution, you're either a renegade or you have a pimp, an agent. That is a given. And then to be owned, that's another story. That's a whole nother level. You're branded, tattooed, and owned, and they
So
never
how
let
does
you go.
that happen? How does that happen?
Depends on who's your regulator, who's your agent. They brand you, own you, and that depends on, once you're owned, you are owned. They say you never get out, never get out. And it's like a black man's emancipation. Remember when slaves first got freed?
Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, yeah. When they
But
and then
people,
somebody go to no,
it would
and
be
they
hard
recall
for
it.
people to believe that this actually happens.
This does happens. Why? Why do you think it happens? Because you're looking at me.
No, I know, but it's so hard to like comprehend that this actually happens.
It's real.